been. It's amazing. And the first thing I guess I want to talk about is the teachers and all of their shenanigans that they're pulling across the country, and especially in Arizona. Arizona's teachers have joined other teachers from around the nation protesting low pay. This begs the question, if they knew the salaries going in, why did they still choose to be in the profession and then complain about it? Arizona teachers are lying to us, or rather their unions, the National Education Association and the Arizona Education Association. Leaders are lying to them and to us. They angrily claim we're 50th in the nation in teacher pay. That is simply not true. If we are going to have a discussion on what teachers should be paid, we need to start with the facts, not lies. According to the latest numbers using the NEA's own figures and the cost of living index, to account for different costs of living, as an example, New Jersey, higher COLI, and Arizona, lower COLI, Arizona ranks 40th in the U.S. for average teacher pay of $47,218. Not in the high-end ranking of salaries, but also not last. So let us at least start with the truth, and let's be honest. $47,000 are not poverty wages. And here's the truth. If teachers want to get paid better, they need to begin by protesting their local school boards, and in many cases, their highly paid school superintendents. The Arizona legislature does not set teacher salaries. The local school boards, in council with the superintendents, do. Arizona voters have passed several measures to inject more money into the schools for increased teacher pay. Proposition 301 being the most obvious. The teachers need to ask their local administrators where all the money went. Proposition 301 was sold to the voters as a direct means for increased teacher pay. Barely half went to teachers' salaries. There are 237 public school districts in Arizona, and according to a recent report by the Arizona Department of Education on school superintendent salaries for fiscal year 2017, there are some very well-paid supers, including 35 that we have record of, making a base salary of $150,000 or more a year, 10 of whom are making over $200,000 a year. 42 districts did not report their superintendent salaries, including a few big districts like Chandler, like the Chandler University's USD, the Gilbert USD, and the Phoenix Universal High School District, so that number will go up. I chose $150,000 a year because that is the cutoff for what is considered the rich, the upper 10% in the U.S. And these are base salaries. They do not include additional perks such as auto, travel, and lots of free meals. What is not in the report are all the assistant superintendent salaries, many of whom also make in the mid-100s and above, plus perks. Teachers need to be paid more, but Arizona voters agree and have supported these efforts. But to start, teachers need to look closer to home, not to the legislature and the governor, for answers of accountability. Get those answers first and stop the lying. So, yeah, I understand that. The supers and the principals and a whole bunch of other people in the school districts are getting paid a lot more than they really need to be paid. And it's a shame because we keep hearing about we need to get more money to the classroom and so on. And it all goes to administration or it goes to other kind of stuff, but it doesn't get to the teachers. And there's something wrong with that. So anyway, well, that's, the way it goes with unions. The bosses get big money and the workers get screwed. So it's kind of like, whenever the left touches, it ruins. And the only way to save Western civilization is to convince more people that leftism, not liberalism, is a nihilistic force. Quite literally, whatever the left touches, it ruins. So here is a partial listing of the damage done by the left and the Democratic Party. The most obvious, and therefore the one more Americans can resonate with, is the near destruction of most American universities as places of learning. In the words of Harvard professor Steven Pinker, an atheist and a liberal outside of the natural sciences and a few other disciplines, such as mathematics and business, universities are becoming laughing stocks of intolerance. If you send your children to a university, you are endangering both their mind and their character. There is a real chance they will be more intolerant and more foolish after college than they were when they entered college. When you attend an American university, you are taught to have contempt for America and its founders, to prefer socialism to capitalism, to divide human beings by race and ethnicity. You are taught to shut down those who differ with you, to not debate them. And you are taught to place feelings over reason, which is a guaranteed route to eventual evil. The left has ruined most of the arts. The following three examples are chosen because they are scatological, a favorite form of left-wing artistic expression. Before the left poisoned the arts, art was intended to elevate the viewer or listener. But to the left, elevate is a meaningless term. It is far more at home depicting urine, fecal matter, and menstrual blood. In 2011, a lifelike German sculpture depicting a policewoman squatting and urinating, even the puddle is sculpted, received an award from a prestigious German foundation, the Lineman Foundation of Fine Art. In 2013, the Orange County Museum of Art in California placed a huge 28-foot sculpture of a dog outside the museum, where it periodically urinates a yellow fluid onto a museum wall. In 2016, one of the most prestigious art museums in the world, the Guggenheim in New York, featured a pure gold working toilet bowl, which visitors were invited to use. The name of the exhibit was America, so one could literally relieve oneself on America. Thanks to the left, the Philadelphia Orchestra, one of the greatest orchestras in the world, allowed itself to become a voice of leftist hate last week. It featured the premiere of Philadelphia Voices, a political rant put to musical garbage, as some musically knowledgeable Philadelphians described it to me. In the fifth movement, titled My House is Full of Black People, the black teen narrator chants the following lines: "The county is full of black people, all wanting to be heard, while old white men draw lines on maps to shut all of them up." Later in the movement, he yells, "If you would all just effing listen." Uplifting? No. On the left, that's considered art. And of course, such politicization of the arts is accepted as the norm. Indeed, that's part of the left's poisoning on everything. It's politicization of everything. The left is increasingly poisoning sports. In most football stadiums this past season, one could not attend an NFL game without being subjected to left-wing contempt for America and its flag. So, too, one cannot watch late-night television if one desires to simply be entertained before drifting off to sleep. Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert, and other hosts have changed late-night TV into left night. The left has poisoned mainstream religion. Mainstream Protestantism, non-Orthodox Judaism, and much of the Catholic Church, including and especially Pope Francis, are essentially left-wing advocacy groups with religious symbols. The left is destroying the unique American commitment to free speech. Almost half of incoming college freshmen do not believe in free speech for what they deem hate speech. Merely taking issue with a left-wing position is, in the left's view, hate speech. They do not understand that the whole point of free speech is allowing the expression of opposing ideas, including what we consider hate speech. The left has poisoned race relations. America is the least racist, multicultural society in the world. On a daily basis, Americans of every race and ethnicity get along superbly. But the black left and the white left constantly poison young minds with hate-filled diatribes against whites, white privilege, systemic racism, black dorms, black graduations, lies about the events in Ferguson, Missouri, and the like. The left has made innumerable women unhappy, even depressed, with its decades of lying about how female sexual nature and male sexual nature are identical, leading to a hookup culture that leaves vast numbers of young women depressed, and its indoctrination of generations of young women into believing they will be happier through career success than marital success. And in some ways, scariest of all, the left is poisoning our children with its commitment to ending male and female as distinct categories. One of the great joys of life, celebrating one's sex, is now deemed nothing more than a hateful idea in many of your children's schools. For these and other reasons, if you treasure American and Western civilization, fighting the left, sometimes all liberals and conservatives need to do, is the greatest good you can engage in at this time. See you in the next segment.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that mommy and daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
People are always talking about the stock market, always looking to invest in a good opportunity, something with the potential to grow. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about taking money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures from UNCF. Your investment can help students go to college, which ends up making the future better for everybody. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A message from UNCF and the Ad Council.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14,
41, 31, 13. We
took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted.
I
Realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
And it's a beautiful day here at the Search Engine and Digital Marketing Race in beautiful Tempe, Arizona. The horses lining up at the gate now, waiting for the bell. And they're off. It's just a two-way race today between your business brand and your relentless competition. Oh, but wait a minute. You've just hired Warhorse Agency for your digital marketing and are quickly taking the lead in your market. Well, hang on to your seat, though. Your competition started their own Google AdWords pay-per-click campaign and are trying to catch up to you now. Good for you, though. They have no idea what they're doing. But don't worry yet. Your digital marketing jockey at Warhorse Agency tirelessly regains the lead with a great viral Facebook ad as well as your own Google SEO and pay-per-click campaign ran by a Warhorse, true leading generating professional. Holy smokes, your business just got a major lead. You're on the first page of Google now, and as they approach the finish line, your business wins. Thanks, Warhorse Agency, for another smashing victory. Contact us today for your free digital marketing evaluation. Visit us at www.gowarhorse.com today.
Okay, we're back, and just a little word about President Trump and his reducing barriers to American manufacturing. As he said, we want companies to hire and grow in America, to raise wages for American workers, and to help rebuild American cities and towns. When we grow American manufacturing, we don't only grow our jobs and wages, we also grow America's spirit. That was a quotation from President Donald. Now, there are outdated and unnecessary barriers to growth. The aspects of the National Ambient Air Quality Standards, the NAAQS program, are outdated, inefficient, and in need of reform. NAAQS are established pursuant to the Clean Air Act and are required to be reviewed every 5 years by the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA. Since 1970, emissions levels of criteria pollutants under the NAAQS program have declined dramatically. The EPA has revised NAAQS multiple times to increase their stringency, and each revision brings new planning and permitting requirements for affected states, localities, and regulated industries. NAAQS are approaching background levels in some areas, meaning they are at levels associated with natural sources or emissions originating outside of the United States. When NAAQS are revised, states which are not in compliance with the new standards must submit state implementation plans to EPA to show how they will comply. Delays in the processing of these plans leads to backlogs and creates regulatory uncertainty and practical challenges for states, localities, and regulated entities. As NAAQS have become more stringent, manufacturers have also experienced delays in obtaining air permits needed to build new facilities or expand existing ones. Manufacturers face a range of burdens under the current NAAQS program, including difficulties in demonstrating compliance, where updated guidance, modeling, and other permitting tools have not been made available to states and permit applicants. Regulatory certainty and fewer delays. President Donald J. Trump's administration will reform NAAQS implementation to provide states with a more efficient process and to promote economic growth. President Trump is signing a memorandum directing the EPA to undertake long overdue reforms in the implementation of NAAQS. At the President's direction, EPA will take a series of actions designed to make the NAAQS program more efficient and cost-effective. These reforms will help responsibly protect the environment while reducing unnecessary barriers that are holding back manufacturing and business growth. Now, the reforms laid out in the President's memorandum will give states regulatory certainty and more flexibility in their implementation of NAAQS. State implementation plans will be processed within 18 months of submission. State requests for regulatory relief due to emissions beyond their control, including exceptional events and international emissions, will also be timely processed by EPA. Regulations and guidance needed for implementation of revised NAAQS will be issued concurrently with revised standards, giving states, localities, and regulated industries the information they need for compliance up front. The EPA will work to ensure transparency in the NAAQS review process. The EPA will also work cooperatively with states to review the Regional Haze Program and replace federal implementation plans with state implementation plans where possible. The President is directing EPA to implement NAAQS reforms aimed at reducing lengthy permitting delays. EPA will review the NAAQS permitting process to identify ways to ensure permit applications receive timely decisions, including through updated modeling and technical support for states and permit applicants. Final action will be taken on pre-construction permit applications within 1 year of submittal of a complete application to the EPA. Where states are the direct permitting authority, EPA will assist states in the timely issuance of pre-construction permits. Strengthening American manufacturing. Reforms to NAAQS implementation will build on the President's efforts to strengthen American manufacturing. Since taking office, President Trump has worked to restore American manufacturing and to help ensure more products are made in America. Under President Trump, the National Association of Manufacturers Outlook Index has reached its highest point in history. 263,000 manufacturing jobs have been added since the president took office. During his first year in office, President Trump can cut excessive regulations that have been holding back businesses, including manufacturers, for far too long. President Trump's administration saved more than $8.1 billion in lifetime regulatory costs in fiscal year 2017. In 2017, the administration eliminated 22 regulations for every one new regulation, far exceeding the initial goal of 2 to 1. Thanks to the historic Tax Cuts and Jobs Act signed into law by the president, businesses will be able to immediately write off the full cost of heavy equipment purchases and other capital investments. Now, I got a story for you that I'll tell you after the break about the EPA and the time that I worked there before I became retired. So in the next segment, we'll see you. Have a nice break, and we'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that mommy and daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger, from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
People are always talking about the stock market, always looking to invest in a good opportunity, something with the potential to grow. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about taking money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures from UNCF. Your investment can help students go to college, which ends up making the future better for everybody. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A message from UNCF and the Ad Council.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14...
41, 31, 13. We
took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted.
I
realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
And it's a beautiful day here at the Search Engine and Digital Marketing Race in beautiful Tempe, Arizona. The horses lining up at the gate now, waiting for the bell. And they're off. It's just a 2-way race today between your business brand and your relentless competition. Oh, but wait a minute. You've just hired War Horse Agency for your digital marketing and are quickly taking the lead in your market. Well, hang on to your seat, though. Your competition started their own Google AdWords pay-per-click campaign and are trying to catch up to you now. Good for you, though. They have no idea what they're doing. But don't worry yet. Your digital marketing jockey at Warhorse Agency tirelessly regains the lead with a great viral Facebook ad as well as your own Google SEO and pay-per-click campaign ran by a Warhorse, true leading generating professional. Holy smokes, your business just got a major lead. You're on the first page of Google now, and as they approach the finish line, your business wins. Thanks, Warhorse Agency, for another smashing victory. Contact us today for your free digital marketing evaluation. Visit us at www.gowarhorse.com today.
Chicago, Chicago, I will show you.
Hi there, we're back. And I'll give you my little story about when I worked at the EPA as a independent contractor. And in fact, there's a couple of stories about that. But the first one is that it seemed like there was nobody there that actually did any work. One day I got a call. I was a technician for the computer part of the whatever was going on there. And I got a call that one of these women up at on another floor couldn't log into the network. So I went up there right away and happened to look, and at that time they were on IBM's network, and it was a plug-in to the wall. The computer plugged into the network, and it plugged into the wall, and the cord was out of the wall. And I plugged it back in, and lo and behold, she was able to get back into the network right away. And she was really mad and let me know that she was mad because now she had to go to work. She had to do some work. And in the past, it had been 4 or 5 hours before somebody had gotten there to fix her cord, and I'd been there in 10 minutes. And they made a habit of kicking the cord so that it would unplug itself from the wall. Thereby, they were not able to get onto their computer to do any work. There was another gal there who was at the time a GS-13, and that was a pretty high level of person, and she was pretty fat. Fact is, she was wider across than she was tall. And in fact, she was so fat that they had to have a special cubicle for her so that she could fit into it. And she had she was a GS-13. In those days, that they paid about $65,000 a year. And she had an assistant who was getting about $40,000 a year. And the two of them spent the day doing other people's hair and nails. And they didn't even bother to take the people into the break room to do that. They did it right at her cubicle. And the cubicle had a pretty good sized desk in it, and the desk was covered. One of her jobs was to initial off on a paragraph in a contract or whatever was on her desk, and the desk was covered in stacks of these contracts that were maybe 10 inches high, and there were 8 or 9 of these piles. And whenever they got to where she couldn't put a new contract in, she would take the whole pile and just throw it in the garbage. But she never did sign off on anything unless she absolutely had somebody standing there with the contract in their hand saying, please sign off on this right now. And then one day I walked over to the GSA, which is the Government Accounting Office across the street from the EPA office. This was in Chicago. And walked into an office and had this distinct reeking stench of alcohol. You know how a bar smells in the morning before they get to clean it out, and where it's been stuff has been spilled overnight and let to stay, and you know how that stinks? Well, that's the way it stunk in there. And I didn't see anybody until I walked around a corner, and there was a fella laying on his desk in his cubicle, sound asleep, and not asleep, but passed out from drinking. And he was a government employee. So the government, as far as I'm concerned, I have seen it in action, and it is a mess. And I don't think that it's gotten any better in the 20 years, 30 years since I worked there. Most government employees do nothing. Whatever they do, they screw up. Whatever it costs to do something by the government, it costs more than it would in any other case. And it gets done in more time than it would normally take, and costs more, and doesn't work. Just look at the Obamacare software that they paid over $5 million for, and it didn't work. And it's just because somebody was a relative of Obama or Michelle's. They got the job, and they just wasted the money and so on. So the government, believe me, is not the friend of the people of the United States. And the taxpayers are really getting screwed right and left. So you got to wake up, folks, and don't believe what the media is telling you. Just look around, open your eyes, and see that whatever is going on is really costing you money, your freedom, your time, and is not worth it. And there's lots of these people, are getting really, really, really rich, stealing from the public and from the these donors. Well, I won't really call them donors, but the contributors to their political campaigns for special treatment and so on and so forth. And the government just has way too much power. And we've let it happen. We've let it happen because we've been too interested in doing our thing and not watching what was going on behind the scenes. And now today, I got one that after the break, I will be giving you another letter from a lady by the name of Kathleen Dinan. And it's about what the Democrats want to do and how they are trying to do it and what you should be looking out for in the country today. We have an opportunity with the new president that we have, who is an outsider, and it's time that we woke up and helped him. So I'll see you in the next segment.
Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that mommy and daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger, from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Keisha from South Carolina. I've been skipping meals so my 2 kids can eat, but filling up on water doesn't really work.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
People are always talking about the stock market, always looking to invest in a good opportunity, something with the potential to grow. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about taking money, but a stock for social change. A whole new kind of investment called Better Futures from UNCF. Your investment can help students go to college, which ends up making the future better for everybody. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. A message from UNCF and the Ad Council.
Today we decided to walk to school. The light counted. 15, 14...
41, 31, 13. We
took a left on Carroll Street. Danny's smart, but he gets distracted.
I
realized he forgot his homework. I hope he doesn't have another bad day at school.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org. Brought to you by Understood and the Ad Council.
And it's a beautiful day here at the search engine and digital marketing race in beautiful Tempe, Arizona. The horses lining up at the gate now, waiting for the bell. And they're off. It's just a two-way race today between your business brand and your relentless competition. Oh, but wait a minute. You've just hired Warhorse Agency for your digital marketing and are quickly taking the lead in your market. Well, hang on to your seat, though. Your competition started their own Google AdWords pay-per-click. Horse Agency tirelessly regains the lead with a great viral Facebook ad as well as your own Google SEO and pay-per-click campaign ran by a Warhorse, true leading generating professional. Holy smokes, your business just got a major lead. You're on the first page of Google now, and as they approach the finish line, your business wins. Thanks, Warhorse Agency, for another smashing victory. Contact us today for your free digital marketing evaluation. Visit us at www.gowarhorse.com today.
Okay, folks, we're back. And I told you that we were going to be reading a letter to you from Kathleen Dinan. It's to Americans everywhere. And this was actually written on April 13th, 2018. This is an absolutely superb piece that should be read and heeded by all in America. And I urge you to forward to everyone you have in your mail list and encourage them to do the same. It is our responsibility to save our republic and our individual freedom that goes with it. Here is Kathleen, and that was written by John Porter. Democrats want to destroy our country by forcing extreme liberal and progressive policies on Americans. Stop them by voting them out. Start in the 2018 midterms and continue until they are gone. Vote for Republicans in national, state, and local elections who believe in, live by, and will fight for our Constitution, for our country, of laws, and for safe, protected borders. This includes school board elections. Why? They are the first line of defense to stop the far left, who currently dominate education and are indoctrinating our youth in hate and anti-America ideas. We need Republicans who agree with, support, and will fight for the MAGA agenda President Trump has set. Because the media lies, we must research for ourselves and learn about the Republicans running in all elections, as well as candidates in races where party affiliation is not stated. Find out what they believe as shown by their words and their actions, primarily actions. What are these far-left enemies doing to destroy our country? They put the needs of illegal immigrants ahead of the needs of Americans and legal immigrants. They refuse to enforce national immigration laws, endangering the safety of Americans and legal immigrants. They want open borders, drugs entering America, and chaos. They want a world where the deep state, media, and elites have total control and power, and Americans are their subjects. Their nefarious actions to take over our lives include attacking Americans' rights. They want to stop free speech. For example, on college campuses, conservative speakers who warn of the horror of liberal and progressive ideas and actions are often kept out. They are stopped by violent demonstrations that the far left claims are protected speech. There is no constitutional protection for violence, only the right of the people to engage in peaceful demonstrations. They also want to take away the right of the people to keep and bear arms. They use the tragedy of deaths in schools as their rationale to stop the sale to and use of guns by Americans. They blame guns, but the individuals committing these atrocities are the sole reason for these tragic deaths. The far left do not care about the victims in those events, only about taking more power from us. They failed to stop President Trump's election and the success he has had. His policies are building a strong economy, creating millions of jobs, cutting the taxes of most Americans, keeping companies in America, and attracting others by reducing corporate taxes. He is appointing judges who follow our Constitution and not change it from the bench. They fear that citizens who are again proud to be Americans will fight them and win. Finally, in their desperation, our enemies attack President Trump. They started a process when he won the nomination for president and are continuing it today. They used money and lies to obtain a warrant that led to a bogus investigation to try and remove the president we elected. In this process, they have trampled on another right of Americans. Too many citizens have been stripped of the right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures. It must stop, and it is up to us, Americans who love our country, to end it. Start now with how you vote in your primaries and again in November. Stop the Democrats now or see our country crumble. We are the only true free country ever. Don't give our freedom away. Vote for Republicans who support President Trump and us. Thank you, Kathleen Dinan. Couldn't be said in a better way than I have heard for ages. What a wonderful, wonderful letter. So, folks, next show on the next hour is Chips and Salsa, and I'm sure they have a great show for you today. And I'll be back next week with something new about whatever happens this coming week. So we'll see you. Have a good week.
Olivia from Washington. Laid off and trying to keep our little kids from realizing that Mommy and Daddy haven't eaten in a while.
Roger from California. I'm grateful we could afford our son's surgery. I'm nervous that now we can't really afford food.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Donna